Hiya, viewers on the internet, whoever you are, wherever you are. Mother's Day is when you acknowledge your mothers and what they had to do to raise their youth. All mothers have their ups and downs, and my own mother is no different. However, I use some of my experiences with her for my fictional stories. For this occasion, I'm sharing ways my mother inspired me to create villains in my stories, which I mostly post to DeviantArt. Please bear with me. Let's get this out of the way. I was treated differently from my brother. I'll spare you the details, but my relationship with my mother wasn't that pleasant. I had to endure years of fear-based discipline. That's why if you ever recognize me, I'm that weirdo who's enjoying himself alone. Emphasis on alone. It's obvious we all have problems, but this video is about my dilemma, so keep listening. Because of how I was raised, I had a hard time interacting with peers around my age. Okay, it's not really hard, but most of the time I was by myself. I willfully withdrew myself from everybody because I fear the way my mother treated me is how others would treat me as well. I won't be surprised by this, honestly. I know what you're gonna say if you're ever listening.
Grow up and be a man. Your mom did a good job as a parent. You're just a whiny fool who's insecure about your feelings.
As much as I'd love to have a second opinion, you might as well leave me alone forever if you talk like this. After all, I'm nothing more than a shadow in society. A glowing shadow. I love that. I did say I'd spare you the details about my relationship with my mom. To specify, it's the details of the things I had to go through mentally, physically, and emotionally. Those three aspects are what the three dots represent in my Shuriken symbol. Go figure. By the way, discipline isn't a bad thing, but overdoing it would bring bad results. Take it from me if you must, a loner in his 20s. Here's a rundown of the two notable fictional antagonists from my stories and how my mother inspired them. This antagonist, inspired by my mother, is Kamen Rider Cog's Shello of the Underground. I have this vision where you would become a likeness to someone who's controlling and authoritative, even if it means doing so in a physical form. The antagonist, Shello, formerly a crazy inventor of automaton animals, has the mentality where he belittles his victims.
Screw you for not going my way and admiring my work. I will force you to submit to my will.
I don't know too much about my mother's past, unless I were brave enough to talk to her after all the years I endured her discipline, but in a way, she inspired the physical part of the character's idealism, to alter the appearance of his victims into his likeness. As a matter of fact, she inspired a part of the series' formula. I mean, most of my characters confront each other physically, and most of them have trust issues with each other in the start of their hero careers. If you're interested, check out the story on DeviantArt using the hashtag provided. Saving the best for last, another antagonist inspired by my mother is Project Triton's Zico World Security. During the school years until sophomore year, my mother would monitor my activities and would restrict me from ever playing. Don't get me wrong, it's good to monitor your kids' activities when they have homework, but to the point where they can't wind down? That's straining the brain. Because of this, I had to cut myself off from meeting my classmates outside of school. And to some degree, it's only fair if you're concerned about getting good grades. Since I've survived that point of my life, I've put together a science fiction that emulates the authoritarian New World Order. How I endured my mother's strict treatment is equivalent to how my characters dealt with a global police corporation. Therefore, most of my characters are cyborg fugitives, including the lead protagonist, Shuriken. I would mention Angela and Zen, but that series is more about social and political topics and has little to do with my mother. After all of this, I bet you stay the hell away from me whenever I'm around. My creative process must be that scary depending on how you look at it, and I don't mind. My work exists to share my point of view about how I see life. I give big thanks to my mother, providing inspiration for these antagonists mentioned. We may never get along, but all in all, I was conceived by her. And one of the things she taught me was to help myself, and so I did. At least that's some of the good things she's done for me. And perhaps the way she disciplined me after all these years is a blessing in disguise. And what's this talk about being alone? Well, preferably, I'm a loner in the professional field. I write, draw, and edit my own work. And I'm also a loner socially, and it seems it's gonna stay that way until something gets my attention. If you ever want to, I appreciate your support on Patreon so I can resume my 2 webcomic series. And who knows, one of these series might end up in the newspapers. Rewards include illustrations of my characters thanking you for your support. There's plenty versions, so collect them all if you can. Like I've said on DeviantArt, look forward to new content, and I'll see you again with new things to share, and make it a happy Mother's Day. Cheers!